what did Will Smith say about Jada Pinkett to Chris Rock? Keep my wife's name
Okay, see,
out
no,
your
too much.
mouth.
Okay, let's focus.
That's what happened to Red Table Talk.
So, not they let us back in here for a second episode.
Oh, we back in the building. That's what I'm talking about. Do you feel me?
No. Anyway, today we're getting into therapy fatigue and one of my recent faves, the Netflix special Shooting Guards.
That is good. And we also going to be talking, it's NBA postseason. WNBA just kicked off, so we're going to get into that. And also the Rodney Hinton trial, which is crazy.
So to be clear, I'm your host, Dawn Montgomery.
You already know it's your main man, Freddie B TV.
So something that's been floating on my timeline recently, because, I keep my ears and eyes to the streets.
You do.
People turning to AI apps as their therapist instead of talking to an actual human. Just off rip, how does that sound to you?
That's the most dangerous thing I've ever heard in my life.
So why is it so dangerous?
I mean, because you're not talking to a human. One, you're talking to somebody without like feelings, without empathy. Talking to somebody who can't, because humans ebb and flow. Sometimes you might be with something like, oh, this feel good, and something happen, like, oh yeah, no, never mind, I don't really like that. AI just gonna affirm you. AI affirms you. It's a yes man. It's an electronic yes man. The last thing we need is everybody got their own yes man. That's what the problem we go through now with your Diddy's and your Harvey Weinsteins and your Epsteins.
Not too much. Pause. Okay, so let's get to the facts here. AI mental health apps like Replica, Wobot, and even ChatGPT are being used for journaling, anxiety prompts, and therapy-like conversations. Now, honestly, I feel like there has been this growth in people using, ChatGPT for like journaling prompts. Like, okay, ChatGPT, tell me how my day should go if I'm trying to be a millionaire by 2027. Like that type of thing, right? But when you're talking about an illness or a sickness or disorder, I think after maybe you go through whatever conversation you might want to have with this AI app or what have you, you might want to take that and go see a professional. It's almost like how people use WebMD, and they self-diagnose themselves.
Know my life. You don't know my life. You don't, Dawn, relax. Calm it down.
Like, I'm just saying. So, okay, let's go here. A 2024 study found that nearly 1 in 4 Gen Z users have used AI to talk through emotional issues before reaching out to a professional, which I kind of am like, okay, let's do that. But some say it's safer, judgment-free, and more accessible, especially with the high cost of therapy or wait lists. Now, okay, we're borderline here. Just because it's free doesn't mean it's a good thing. But therapists warn AI can't build empathy, like you just said, provide trauma-informed care, or recognize a crisis moment. And that's where we are.
Yeah, I mean, and also the thing is, when you use AI, it has at the bottom, like, AI can have errors. AI has errors all the time. AI tell you something that is wrong. Because it's just pulling from whatever is available on the internet. And so sometimes, like, it may pull from something that's old on the internet and give you something that is incorrect or doesn't apply to what you are currently dealing with in that moment. And so, like, even when you're doing homework or math work, you're doing research, like, you have to recheck the AI. Like, people but we live in a world now, like, I see so many times, like, people post rage bait on Facebook and they post fake stuff and it's in a meme and people think it's real.
All day. But I think for your mental health, you need to be more cautious in how you're putting that information out there. Also, too, AI is not necessarily trained in particular to deal with Black and brown people. We've seen that with, face recognition, all these other things, right? So if we're talking about AI and how that's formulated, it may not be formulated for us. It's not necessarily for us by us.
Oh, Lord, man. Yeah, so we're gonna have a lot of problems as we proceed forward. AI probably going to be the crumbling of society along with social media.
I mean, not this administration.
No, AI social media. I'm way more scared of that than this. I mean, this administration only for 4 years.
Whatever.
AI is for forever. Social media gonna be way here longer, boy. We're gonna be in trouble. But y'all hop in the comments. Y'all let us know. Have you ever turned to AI for emotional support?
No judgment.
No judgment. We listen and we don't.
But I'm gonna need you to call somebody.
Exactly. We're gonna need you to call somebody. But hop in the comments. Let us know what you think.
Freddie, you know what this made me think about for real though?
What?
the way healing content had us in a chokehold for a while. You know, like the red table talk was everywhere, and now silence. What happened?
Keep your hands. No. What did Will Smith say about Jada Pinkett to Chris Rock? Keep my wife's name out
too much.
mouth.
Okay, let's focus.
That's what happened to Red Table Talk.
So, Red Table Talk was canceled by Meta in 2023, and Jada Pinkett confirmed there are no solid plans to bring it back to TV. Now, I hesitated right there because I don't think I remember her saying it in particular. But I know she might have posted in general. It's just one of those things where it's kind of like, I don't want to believe it in a real moment, right? Mm-hmm. Other mental health shows and podcasts led by Black creatives have either slowed down or gone dark. I, want to make sure that we give a shout out to Therapy for Black Girls. And, there are certain shows that are still there. Mm-hmm. But I think the investment has been pulled, right? Mm-hmm. And listeners and viewers report advice fatigue, too much vulnerability content, not enough action. I think a lot of people are buying podcasts, giving out all of these advice and no experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of trigger words. Like one trigger word that I really hate. I hate hearing people say it.
Hate is such a strong word.
I hate it. I know.
Well, damn.
I know.
I was trying to give you an out.
No, you're right. You're right. I say it all the time.
Word.
But one thing I hate is people using the word narcissist.
Uh-oh.
I hate it. Like, people don't even know what that means.
Are you a narcissist?
Nah, I'm not. No.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean,
like, because people don't know what being people describe selfish people as narcissists. That person just very selfish. They're not a narcissist. A narcissist is a clinical diagnosis.
But could it be the way that they're being selfish is a form of narcissism? Okay. Anyway, do you think it's burnout in general, or oversharing, or the internet just bored with accountability because people?
I think it's burnout of all these terms that people were doing it and like he gaslit me, you're narcissist, all this, and people just throwing the terms, like people getting willy nilly with the terms, and people watering it down. Like those things mean something, and so sometimes it gets to where like you hear it so much, it's like the boy cried wolf. Like all this, and it's like, what does it even mean anymore?
Right. I think one of the things for me is, what you saw in that dynamic of Red Table Talk, and shouts out to Jada, Gammy, and Willow. Like,
Jada
as you saw, listen, focus, back here, focus. I feel like it was the ability to hear things from 3 different generations, right? Versus, I'm 20 fresh, y'all. I got this new podcast mic in studio. I'm finna tell you how I feel because that's how life is. You ain't lived life yet. Like, I'm 41, and it's certain shit I thought I do. I'm totally clueless at this point in my life, right? Especially in dealing with parenting, because I feel like I'm parenting all over again. I mean, to be clear, I have a 19-year-old and a 6-year-old, so there's that. But to me, I think we're losing the plot in regards to making sure that our community feels, heard and seen, and has the ability to learn how to discern what's good information, what's not misinformation, and what's just something that's being created to distract us from what's actually happening around us.
I think Red Table Talk, that probably ended. Like I said, I was being funny, but I think it really did end after that whole fiasco with Will Smith. And I think Jada became the poster woman of that toxic woman. Because the thing
let me tell you something. She's not toxic.
No, but the thing is, whether she's toxic, I don't know. I ain't gonna speak on that. But I know as a man, there's a lot of men out here who have dated. I used to be engaged. I was engaged to a woman. She took me through mental hell. Like I had a lesion that formed right in the middle of my head, and I showed this lady. She was like, "Your chakras are off." Like, that line, the line of chakras is right in the middle of my head.
She was like Buddy who grew that thing, the sign of Buddha. Remember on How High? The friend.
Oh yeah. He was like the mine was just ugly. Yeah. But it's a lot of men out there that's in relationship with women who are mentally destroying them and destroying them from the inside and destroying their whole being as a man. But it's like it's nothing you can do because you can't show pictures of mental bruises. You can't you can't do any of this. You just dying from the inside out. And then we wonder why is going up with men, so on and so forth. But I think like she became like the poster child of that. And then
I
it was
remember
like
how the timelines were acting.
yeah,
reacting to all
I
of
think
that.
Red Table Talk is needed, but not with her. Maybe some like another group of 3 women. I would love to see with another group of 3 women, but Jada, I don't know, because the whole thing with August Alsina, what that happened, and that's Jaden's friend, and she was doing it. He would come to the house.
I mean, that's a whole nother topic for another episode. But I think, but I wanna commend you because you got out of that situation. You took care of yourself to move on. So I want to give you a shout out for that. And for the men out there, if you need to talk to somebody, please make sure you find somebody to talk to get out of those situations.
Women too, women as well. Don't want to leave y'all out. So but is there a place for these shows? Is there yay and nay? Y'all want to see some more? Like, y'all agree Red Table Talk needs to come back, or leave it all in the past? Drop it in the comments. Let us know what you think.
Okay, so we gotta go here because my timeline was blowing up at me because I said something in regards to this Netflix special.
What's new, Dawn?
Because
you always got the internet in a tizzy.
Let me tell you something. I'm just gonna bring something new, right? Because everybody else was talking about this Netflix special, and I was like, I forgot it was on. I sat down and watched it. I was watching it with somebody, and they will probably tell you I was up majority of the time screaming, okay? And what we're talking about is the Netflix special, Untold, called Shooting Guards, right? And in particular, Shooting Guards is about Javaris
Crittenden.
Right, because I can't say his last name, okay? And Gilbert Arenas. And it talks about that dynamic of, like, when both of them got suspended by the NBA. NBA. Yep, I said that. And it goes deep into the actual story of what happened. Because for all of these years, we've thought that it was about gambling and all these other things, when necessarily, one person felt like they was getting punked out and had to show out, right? So, I just want to be honest with you that I love the Untold stories on Netflix because it generally highlights like the underdog or a story or the background of something that has happened that we don't know we don't know the details in depth, right? But in this case, to me, right, it highlights an instance of like mental health neglect, financial exploitation, and media bias, as well as weapons trafficking. Now, I ain't gonna get too deep in that. Just watch the show, watch it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But I feel like, in general, the story is one of those telltale situations where you have a younger player who's looking up to a vet, and this vet is using that leverage of like, I've been here, I'm the OG, you got to come through me type deal. This is my locker room, to blend in. But, I feel like I blame Gil. I blame him. I don't blame him for everything that Javaris ended up doing after the situation, but I blame him for being that trigger that really kind of like mentally tipped, Javaris off a little bit, and I think you watched it. You finally watched it. So tell me what your thoughts were in regards to it.
I could definitely see where you're coming from with that. Like Gil was the older player. He was the vet. Javaris, the young kid coming in. And like Gil, like, so the thing is, when I watched it, I noticed quickly that Javaris didn't have a dad. Gil had a dad. And so Gilbert had more of a sense of that structure. That dad provides that structure. And he had structure of who he was.
But he was still an asshole.
He was a jokester. He didn't know. He was just like joke with people, and he didn't have that. That was his personality. But that wasn't a deficiency in him. He just played around.
I still think it was a deficiency because he came into the league talking about he wanted to be a pimp or something. Remember he said that?
Gilbert.
And he meant that. Like
here's the thing. Gilbert is Gilbert, where he's from in SoCal, like if you remember, like where he's from, it's not many black people. And so Gilbert is kind of
he had to be
lame.
The little prankster.
He's kind of lame. So the thing is Gilbert don't know how to play with black people.
Gotcha.
In that black culture. And that he saw that with Javaris, because you saw how Javaris very like disrespect. Nobody gonna disrespect me.
Well, Javaris is from Atlanta. You with us, over there, and it's like,
he from the hood. He from the hood. And,
you can't do that. You can't sit up here and say you're gonna bring to a locker room and you don't think I ain't finna bring mine and you don't think
Right.
I'm not finna actually use mine or something like that. And luckily,
but it started on the plane. It started on the plane
Yes.
when Javaris got into two other guys' stuff. It was
Yes.
like, man, pay him his money, and he
Right.
he lost his composure. The thing is, when you don't have your dad, you run amok with emotional behavior.
Okay, now I do agree with that because the presence of a man to be around to also help you regulate your emotions is very helpful. But also, if there's not a man there, I feel like you've got to figure that out for your village and for your kids, because you don't want them to be in a situation where eventually they get triggered later on in life, and then from then on the dominoes start falling, because that's exactly what happened. And to be honest with you, I still do believe that Javaris should still be in jail, but you've got to watch to see why I said that.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, he definitely got a sweetheart deal. He got a sweetheart deal. But like I said, when you watch it, you'll definitely see that dynamic of the fathers, and it's a big thing, and that's something that especially we got to really proliferate more so in the Black community. Especially in the more poorer, because you find out a lot there, and then people end up like Javaris. But y'all check it out and hop in the comments. Maybe you can, if you've seen it, hop in the comments.
Please watch it first before you comment.
Yeah, but if you've seen it, hop in the comments and get it going. But if you haven't, go check it out. Then come back to this, and let us know what you think. 'Cause this is definitely a nice little piece.
So, Freddie, let's pivot into something heavy. We'll give some space for this. The Rodney Hinton Jr. trial.
Yes, Rodney Hinton Jr. Big trials going on. It had the propensity to be like similar to other ones, but then things took a different turn because Rodney Hinton, he's charged with murder, and to be specific, he's been indicted on charges including 2 counts of aggravated both carrying the possibility of the death penalty, 1 count of murder, and 2 counts of felonious assault. And this was because he retaliated after he saw the video of his son being shot by police. And so he's accused of intentionally hitting and killing Hamilton County Sheriff's Deputy Larry Henderson with his car on May 2nd, 2025. Deputy Henderson was handling traffic control for a University of Cincinnati graduation ceremony, and he was not involved in the incident that led to the death of Hinton's son. Now, Hinton, he's pled not guilty. He's put in not guilty plea, and so it's not guilty under the situation of insanity. An insanity plea because of his mental health, and apparently he had mental health issues, which you'll get into. But like I said, he has a possible death penalty. But how this actually works is, it's noted that if Hinton is convicted of aggravated murder, a jury must unanimously recommend the death penalty for the judge to consider it. And even then, the judge will have to make the final decision on sentencing. So it's not an automatic thing. So,
and I think in general, they're probably going to try to make a lesson out of him because he is a Black man who killed an officer.
Come on now. Come on.
But to be honest with you, I'm going to agree with his plea, not guilty. And it's not because he's a Black man. If I'm a parent, which I am, and I am in this situation, and you are immediately triggered and you see that visual, mentally, I can't even explain how I would feel in that moment, especially if I even in my mind, I probably could think of some type of form of retaliation, but in that moment, it might not be carried out. It may be something that I could go a week or two and then eventually. But what that does is mentally, I've gone over this thing over and over and over again. And I think the courts actually have to to be honest, they have to come forward and say, in our previous cases where we've lost young people being shot by police, we've done nothing to reassure families or to really show up for families as far as justice is concerned. And justice was served.
Yeah, I mean, I think to your point, I think they're definitely going to drop the hammer and try to make an example out of him. I think that this really hinges on the fact they brought up that Rodney Hinton has had mental issues prior to this.
It's documented.
And that's going to be the key thing. If they can really document and really drive that home. If they can't, he is up the creek without a paddle, and then they are going to drop the death penalty to make sure, because, I mean, you can just imagine, like, if he, like, got off, then everybody, then the police gonna be looking like,
well, the police are going to be looking for him. It's going to be more citizens related,
he
like
about to move
citizens
for that city.
arrest. Quiet as it's kept, he's not going to be able to go anywhere because,
Yeah.
these people are everywhere. And I think in general, for me, what bothers me the most about this is that in previous cases, not even similar to this, where we've got school shootings or we've got all of these other instances where people have claimed insanity, there was no documentation.
Right. Yeah.
There was no documentation.
Yeah, no documentation.
So there's that.
He also has a $25 million suit out as well. So, we'll see how that goes. But, could this trial have implications in the future? I think so. But, what do you think? That's the key thing. Hop in those comments. Let us know. Y'all think you get off with the not guilty, or y'all think the hammer is going to get dropped? Let us know.
Okay. As sports fans, it's time that we got to talk about playoffs.
The playoffs.
The NBA's heating up. MNBA heating up.
Here you go.
Asterisk. While the WNBA is just getting started, how do you feel about the postseason matchups in the NBA?
I mean, I think it's going to be dope because we know for a fact, 100% surety that the NBA championship, that city is going up or down or something, but it's going to be crazy in whatever city. We know.
All I know is like Friday night, I guess the Knicks are playing Boston, correct? Is that right? Is that who they're playing?
No, but they just the Knicks just knocked the Knicks just knocked off Boston last week.
Okay, so
so it's the Knicks playing the Pacers.
I was at that. It was Friday night.
Friday night, yeah.
So the game was happening and they won, and I was nervous because I was around a bunch of Knicks fans. I've never been around this many Knicks fans in my life, and literally I was like, "Oh, they won. Okay, so everybody's gonna be cool around here." People were insane. So I agree with you on the whole, wherever this championship lands or wherever it's going to be, the fans are going to really show out. Yeah, and I love it.
You got the Knicks versus the Pacers, the Timberwolves, Minnesota versus, damn, I just drew a blank. Who they playing? Minnesota is playing...
It ain't Denver, is it?
Oh, Oklahoma City. Dang, Oklahoma City. So the Knicks are playing the Pacers, Oklahoma City Thunder are playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, and you got 4 franchises that don't have any rings. The Knicks, last time I had a ring was in the 70s. Damn, it don't even count. Right, damn, it don't even count. So you just saw, if the Knicks win it,
yeah,
I live in New York. It's gonna be crazy.
Y'all, please make sure you hide your kids, hide your wives. Anyway, so the WNBA just kicked off its 2025 season with major attention on that particular player, Aja Wilson, and newcomers. Lord knows that I have a problem with the coverage around that particular player, but also recently, we've seen how Indiana Fever's atmosphere in their arena is just so I'm gonna keep an eye out on that because the WNBA has this no space for hate campaign, and I'm just letting them know, like, you've created this space for the hate. So we need to see better.
I think they were trying to create that Magic Johnson, Larry Bird situation with the women, but the thing is that I love Angel Reese. I love Angel Reese. She just isn't as good as Caitlin Clark.
And then this is why we're going to end this segment right now because I refuse to believe you said that.
The Fever just smoked this guy.
It don't matter.
They smoked
That's
them
like
girls.
the first game.
They smoked them girls.
It don't matter. And you could smoke me too.
They smoked them like a blunt.
You could smoke me too. Camera, you can smoke me too if I hear somebody calling me a monkey and I want to run in the stands and slap somebody. You can smoke me too if I'm at the free throw line and somebody's making monkey noises or saying racial slurs at me. You can really probably take me out of my game just because, think about it, if I'm in my 2nd or 3rd year into this league and this is how I'm being treated, I'm ready to go.
When you a dog, though. That's sports though. Now that sucks. I'm not on board with it at all, obviously. But we gonna see, can the WNBA hold the momentum? Can they keep them fresh eyes going for that new CBA so these women can get paid?
Yes.
Y'all let us know in the comments what y'all think. Y'all think the WNBA can capitalize on this? There's been so many things they haven't, but can they? Y'all let us know in the comments.
Now, Freddie, to be clear, finding support is valid, but real healing still takes connection, community, and intention.
Yes, and to be clear, them playoffs is on deck. So you want them 4 cities, make sure you protect your neck.
And be safe. Just be safe. Like, comment, and subscribe. And let us know, are you still in your healing era?
And definitely shout out to our fan bam over at Okayplayer. And we'll catch you next Tuesday. Peace.